What's up, everyone? I'm Dreadful. I'm here with 4GQ TV, and we're actually going to interview Dwight Seenick here. We got a game board here that we got going on. We got a book. What do we got? What's going on here? What is this?
It's everything, as you just said. It's a game board. It's a book. It's a universe. It's a brand. High Noon.
Nice.
It's poker meets chess. Wild Wild West.
So you developed all this, all your creation?
I did.
Nice. What got you into making your own game?
I don't know if we have time in this podcast. That's quite a story, but I'll try to condense it.
Yeah, really condensed version.
So I grew up watching westerns with my grandfather, my father, so cowboys, Indians, all that. So near dear to my heart. And then on top of that, I played board games with my dad all throughout my childhood. And so now I have a son. He's going to be 8 soon, depending on when this is going to air. And so I thought it would be great to have a game that I could play with my son, I could play with my dad, and down the line. And 6 years later, I knew it was right.
Nice. So forget Monopoly, because we're going to do our own thing.
That's right.
That's awesome. So what is so this is, I'm assuming this is the starter set, the basic?
This is actually 2 of the expansions in the game.
Okay. And
the starter set comes with 4 posses. So we describe like teams that a player chooses as a posse. And so that's also why we call it like it's poker against chess. It's like chess in that you have a team of guys, or a posse, I have a team. There's no limit to how many players can play, so you have like 12 teams, 12 posses on the table. They're made up of characters that are unique. They're limited to move on a grid, like chess, but all the combat is done through cards that are unique to the posse themselves.
Okay.
And so we'll hold them close to our chest. I don't know what cards you have, you don't know what cards I have, until we get to shooting at each other, and then we play. And that's kind of how it's like.
So board game poker. That's awesome. And I see we have our spaces. We're moving across the board here. And what is this little piece here?
Yeah, that's the cheat sheet there. These are character sheets. So every character that is in your posse has a character sheet that goes along with them. And everything you need to know about the character is in that character sheet. So how far they can move, how far they can shoot, what kind of ammunition is in their deck, who they belong to, how much gold they're worth, that's very important, and then their health tracker. And so I said the gold because the objective of the game is to have the most gold at the end of 12 rounds and be the last posse. You get gold 2 ways. You deal damage on your turn, you get a gold for that. It's like a participation trophy. Or you can eliminate characters, in which case you get the gold that's on the character.
We got, I see these little heads here. Each thing signifies
Yeah,
something.
so the health, the red ones are for health.
Okay.
There's green ones for if they've been poisoned or if there's something on the game board, like fog or something, any kind of item of interest on the board. And then the blue chips are for when you're using items. And so one of the things about the game is it's not just the posses that are on the board, but you also have these loot crates. And so the loot crates are scattered around the board, and they coincide to these 3 loot decks. And so what your characters can do is they can run up to the loot crate, and they can loot something from the crate.
It would be these cards that we got.
That would be these cards, yeah. So that's gear. That could be like armor or like equipment for your guy. You've got weapons that you can use instead of your cards in your hand. Weapons are unique. There's shotguns, rifles, Derringer pistols, experimental guns that were never invented but were tried upon.
Like that.
And then you have rations. Those are generally like buffs or healing potions, snake oil, revival tonics, that kind of stuff you get generally as a rations deck. And so there's no dice in High Noon, but there's a lot of randomization. You've got the randomization of your cards themselves, the randomization of how the loot crates are placed on the board, the randomization of the loot that you're going to draw, and also the game board itself. Like, this is printed on the table to make it easy, but every posse comes with a game tile, and that's their starting tile. And then you have other terrain tiles, and you take turns putting them on the board to create your map. So the map will always be different, depending on who's being played against, depending on the players that are at the table, depending on who did first. And so you'll never have the same battlefield twice, you'll never have the same experience twice, and you don't even need the expansion. You can play the starter set forever and be fine. And that's how I designed it. I wanted a game that you didn't feel like you had to have every expansion to experience the full thing. You could just have the starter set, be good for 4 players, but I wanted to make a game where, depending on your play style, you could get an expansion that speaks to who you are, and you could play that. Or if you just want another player at the table, you could bring an expansion in.
Oh, nice. So, how many players max in your party?
There is no maximum on that.
Is that pretty cool?
As long as you got the time. We've I don't know if you've ever played Twilight Imperium, but that is like the bespoke game of if you have all day or all night to play a game. You can play 12. If you got 12 guys at the table, you're looking at a whole day affair to play High Noon. But it'll be a fun day. I guarantee you that.
Okay, so what comes with just the game?
Sure. So you're going to get 4 posses. You'll see that they're kind of asymmetrical. So this is a posse right here of 5 guys.
Okay.
This is a posse of 2 or 3. This is a posse of 2. So the minimum amount of characters in a posse is 1. But right now I have up to 5 characters, and they're all balanced out, but they are asymmetrical in that regard, and their unique abilities and whatever.
It helps again with the variety.
Right, exactly. So the starter set comes with some, they call them the Rough Riders, they're like soldiers, but they're actually rogue soldiers that are on their own, kind of waging their own war on the savage land. They're riflemen with a colonel who's gone mad. You've got a sheriff and deputy who are holding down the law. You've got a group of bank robbers that are brothers, and then they're little henchmen. And then you have these brothers that are native in the universe of High Noon, the High Nooniverse I call it. One of the tribes is the Maquaw. And these are some of them, they're young warriors who are trying to free their land again from those who have taken it from them. And they all have different play styles. If you break them down to just what they are, you've got 2 heavies that are full of health and damage. You've got a group of like soldiers that are, it's all about maneuverability, and their rifles, there's different types of ammunition types. Rifles have a feature to that. And then you have the bank robbers that are basically just throw numbers at a problem because they're the biggest posse. And then the Maquaw are like the commandos. You've got a sniper, a berserker, and then a guy issuing orders. So very flavorful. And again, like you could just have that and you'd be fine. We also have the High Nooniverse, which is, like I said, the universe brand. And so I didn't just launch the game, and I didn't just make this game just like, they're not just like pieces. Every character on the board has a backstory, has goals and ambitions and desires. And so in the starter set, one thing you get is a map of the state of Saratoga, which is the fictional state that this takes place in. And there's a bunch of landmarks, which are, they coincide like map tiles and things like that. But they also line up with my first book, which is Gunsmoke Trail. And that follows the story of actually these 2 guys here, Bonko and the Cat, these guys, which are the Los Hermanos gang, and the Bandero Blondes, as they travel the countryside, fighting each other and in search of their, like I said, their ambitions.
How long does it take to just get it together? I'm sure there's like some months there trying to figure out how to do it.
Oh yeah.
And you got to
Right. Yeah. My initial development phase was about 3 years.
Okay.
And it was painstaking. If you see what the game looked like to where it is today, it is really taken on a life of its own. But now we're going on our 7th year in production. We did a Kickstarter in 2021. We successfully funded. By that time, I already had the starter set, and I'd already delivered it to my backers preemptively. And then I just went in and started using that money to produce the expansions. In the process, I upgraded the artwork, added more features, all that.
Let's shift over this way.
Sure.
We'll talk about your extensions.
Yeah.
We'll talk about books.
Yeah.
So
This is the starter set.
here's the starter.
Yeah. This is the Bandera Blondes. So people were saying they wanted representation, and I'll be honest, I don't care much about representation. I care about gameplay mechanics. But I did love the idea of like an all-female posse. So the Bandera Blondes are a group of liberated women who were in brothels, and they're led by Bonnie Beecher, who freed them, and now they roam the countryside, kind of liberating other women from the shackles of the patriarchy. Functionally, what they are is a posse with every ammunition in the game. So you've got 2 shotgunners, you've got a sniper with a long-range rifle, and then you've got a dual-wielding pistolier. She has an ability, a supernatural ability, that allows her to see everybody's cards, see everything. And that kind of alludes to the supernatural element of the game. We will go into that. We'll have werewolves and vampires, angels and demons, time-traveling robots, all that stuff. But that she kind of introduces that. She also introduces elevation. She's got a balcony that she can shoot down from. The Grizzly Greenwood is a huntsman with wolves. So he's a pack hunter. His wolves can route you. The route your character is holding down while he picks you off with a rifle from afar. There's bear traps that he can drop as you're moving around. The Abernathy gang, they were on the board. They're basically an armored guy with a suit of armor, and two henchmen who like to light buildings on fire. He also has cards that play well against the law, like members of the law, because he's a criminal who against the law. We have the bounty hunters that were also on the board, Monko and Cat. They are quintessential man with no name, they get extra gold when they kill bad guys. They can shoot at all different ranges. It's okay. We have an audience, ladies and gentlemen. We're bringing them all in. Father Franklin is a fan favorite because he's a preacher who walks around with a coffin. He's basically Django, essentially. He's a posse of one. He deploys, and out of the coffin comes a machine gun, and he just can decimate the entire field that way. He's kind of a glass cannon. He's greased with a robe and nothing else. So don't get caught flat-footed with this guy. He's very squishy. The Bushwhackers are a counter to the Rough Riders in this posse. They are remnants of the Civil War that refuse to give up. They fight in the shadows. They're saboteurs. They're agents of chaos. So they can actually blow up loot crates at any time. Like you could be looting the crate, they could be like, no, you don't get the loot. Plus the crate blows up, so you can defend against that. And now it's not there, you can hide behind it. So they can.
Now we got some real fights at the table.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 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 And then we have the Jenkins brothers. That's a personal favorite of mine. It's 2 shotgunners and a really big burly dude that loves to rush up on you and do a bunch of combo attacks, pick you up, throw you, smack you around. So he's fun and powerful. And then the Los Hermanos, they don't have the box here, but they're basically the banditos from the south of the border. They die, but then out of every window, looking cranny, they show up again. They just pop up out of everywhere, and they're like almost like limitless hornets. They also have tequila bombs, which they can throw out and explode. Basically, crowd control, and I think that's it in the roster right now.
I'm noticing that.
Yes. Yeah.
And they only stay with those characters.
Correct. Yes. I wanted the look. They look kind of poker cardy, like cards-ish from like the Old West. But every deck is unique to every posse. So all the special cards in there are theirs. The kind of the dispersion of attacks versus defense plays the personalities. If they're aggressive, if they're like this is Bonnie Beecher is a very aggressive. She's got an axe to grind with the world. So she's got a lot of heavy attacks, and not a lot of defense cards. Whereas Nelson Abernathy is a man made entirely of armor, and so he's got a lot of heavy defenses that he can just absorb damage with. So yeah, every deck is going to be different. Yeah.
Is there any rules against mixing and matching?
So right now,
I'm sure there's kind of certain rules.
yeah,
Right now, there's no rule that says you can't, but you'll be able to tell when you start drawing because the backs are different. The colors of the cards, the palettes of the characters.
You don't want to do that to give away what you need.
Right, and plus, if we look over here,
on the decks, on the characters' cards, you'll see that this says Bush Ranger because it coincides with the Bush Ranger. Versus this card right here says Nelson Abernathy, which coincides with Nelson Abernathy. So even if you did mix up cards, you wouldn't be able to play them because you wouldn't have the character on the board. Right. Now that said, I am working on an expansion. It's essentially it works like a rogues gallery of bounty hunters, and you use like this gold value that's on the character sheets. Generally means like that's what you get if you eliminate that character. But with this rogues gallery policy I'm working on, that initially the beginning of the game is how you buy the characters. Like you start out with a certain amount of gold points to purchase characters, and you can pull from the pre-existing rogues gallery, and then you take their cards, you put them in little cards, so these back, and then you can't fix them. So there is kind of a mechanic on that, but again, it is limited to the posse that it is.
That's great. Well, really appreciate it. I mean, you've been going 7 years, so you need a lot.
No, it's
just getting it out there and getting more people interested in this.
Right, which is absolutely what I'm here to do, and what your followers can do if they go to highnoongames.com.
So I have all the links down below. And again, this was sponsored by 4GP TV. Thank you again. Like and subscribe if you like this. Definitely check out the website. Visit grocery stores, buy a couple, and try